Tommy, it's okay.
Look, my reaching, Daddy. My reaching.
Sweetie pie, I don't know what you're saying.
I want God. I will shake your
Tommy, I'm sorry.
I will say
Thomas.
Life was pretty normal until Lori began to suspect that something was wrong.
He went and was examined, and the lady came out of the booth and said, honey, he wouldn't hear a train go by. And that was just so devastating for me. I thought I was just stabbed with a knife. But I held it together until I got in the car, and then got the kids buckled up and cried all the way home.
For children who are profoundly deaf, there are two main ways of communication: an auditory approach, or the oral method, a manual approach, typically ASL, or an approach that combines the two ways referred to as total communication.
Since Thomas had some hearing in the higher frequencies, we were told that a cochlear implant wouldn't be appropriate for him. Still, Lori and I wanted him to talk, and that meant hours of speech therapy.
Good.
We didn't care what Thomas sounded like. We just wanted him to talk.
Cowboy.
Cowboy.
Say cowboy.
Cowboy.
Yeah. Airplane.
Cowboy.
We didn't know then how complicated things would get.
One approach is called the listening and spoken language method, previously known as the oral method. In this approach, a deaf child is equipped with hearing aids or a cochlear implant and uses hearing for communication and learning. Here are some examples.
Here we actually use the route of them learning to listen and speak. This is not only important for just the children, but their family, their wider families who are often involved in the whole process of the children coming to the Elizabeth Foundation.
Being able to speak and listen in what is predominantly a hearing world is going to be massively important to Toby when it comes to all throughout his life, and the level of jobs that then are available to him and the ease in which hopefully he'll be able to do those roles is going to be so much greater, just because, you know, unfortunately people don't really learn sign language so much, and so it's a necessity, I think, for him, for his future.
I mean, we all face those fears of putting your baby through surgery and all of those kind of things, and it was emotional. It was tough for us to go through, and from that first moment it was confirmed that they could hear us, and it was just such a joyful feeling, and we knew we had done the right thing.
But after more than 2 years of therapy, Thomas's language development was still poor. Thomas could imitate most of the speech sounds of English, and he could respond to simple questions, but he couldn't really communicate. Often what he said was just gibberish.
I mean, he's saying what? Mommy, daddy,
Juice.
milk?
Says juice, sit down right now. I don't want it, but that's all. He can't say, this is a lovely day, or, you know, thank you for being nice to me.
Well, that's because he's been taught all the speech sounds as possible, but he hasn't been taught the concept, the vocabulary with which to work. Your son is profoundly deaf. There's no way on earth that he could hear, understand, develop language based on what he hears. He needs everything visual. He needs you to introduce life, introduce love, introduce happiness through signs, because that's what he sees. He needs that.
Another approach is called the manual method, or American Sign Language. In this approach, a child learns sign language as their first language for communication, and later learns written English in school for reading and writing. Here are some examples.
We came to the conclusion that hearing aids were an annoyance and a distraction for him. They were pulling him from his core curriculum classes to go try to talk. I told him that they couldn't pull him anymore, and he wasn't wearing his hearing aids because when I asked him what hearing aids did for him, he said they distract me when I'm trying to concentrate. He hasn't worn hearing aids since he was 8.
I'm fortunate to have had parents that could sign and can communicate with them. If my parents had not learned ASL, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, and I probably would not even visit my parents. The relationship would be different. I don't know, I can't even imagine.
It's difficult to imagine trying to raise a child that you can't have meaningful communication with. Because you can get a lot done with expression and pointing. There's the bathroom, time to eat, go to bed, take a bath. You can, but that doesn't really begin to touch the important things. Why are you crying? Who was mean to you? What did you learn today? How do you make a friend? How to explain the kind of concepts that are deeper, the world concepts like science and social studies and things like that, educational things, but also the life questions and relationship skills and family skills, friendship skills, social skills, just all the things, all the communication you need to have to develop appropriately and healthy into a functional, happy adult that has good coping skills for their life. I don't know how you do that if you don't have good, strong language base with the most important people in your life from a very young age, your parents.
We're still working on Thomas's speech.
Okay, hey Thomas.
Let's play the game.
Your turn.
And recently, the daughter of a person we know at Thomas's school has been teaching us sign language. Her name is Rebecca, and she's deaf.
Oh, Thomas, lion.
Okay.
You're gonna show us a lion? Okay. Good job. That's very good.
A hybrid approach of the two main methods is called total communication. Total communication is when a deaf child uses hearing aids or cochlear implants to help them access sound information, and also has sign language support as needed to help them communicate and learn. I believe this is the best method I have seen so far, as it combines both methods to give your child access to multiple linguistic tools, while also allowing them to choose what works best for them in the future. Here are some examples of the total communication method.
We were told you have to pick one and you can't switch. And we absolutely went against that. You know, we found out she was deaf, she was a year old, and we knew that her vision was great and her hands worked, and we had no idea how much she'd be able to hear. It seemed very obvious that we should sign with her.
At 7, Leah got her cochlear implant and has learned to talk and hear since.
I honestly think my parents raised me the best way they could have. I don't think they could have done it any differently.
I'm happy with our choice and the options we presented Leah. I really think she does have the best of both worlds.
There's very conflicting views on whether you should use sign, whether that helps the development of speech, whether it hinders the development of speech. Our teacher of the deaf urged caution really and sent us lots of resources to read so that we could make an informed decision. As hearing people, our focus was on the development of speech, so although we did some signing very early on, we then pulled back from that for a long time. In hindsight, I don't know that that was the right thing to do, because we went on holiday when we spent the best part of 2 weeks with her in and out of a swimming pool and the sea, mainly without her hearing aids in, and we suddenly realised that we could not really communicate with her very well at all. So that was the point at which we then thought again, hang on a minute, signing will be a really important thing for her, and also wanting her to be part of the deaf community.
The story doesn't end here. We haven't made a decision yet on what we're doing at school next year with Thomas. We know that whatever we do, it won't be easy. But for now, we're just going to enjoy each other.
Well, we made up a sign in the car, and it was all Tommy's doing. He wasn't just a little happy, he was big happy. Can you show?
Big happy. Big happy. Big happy. Be happy.
We made a lot of mistakes, Thomas, and I'm sure we'll make some more. When you become a parent, I know you'll understand. We wanted to change you, but you changed us. You'll see this someday and wonder why we made such a big deal about it. Think of it as a gift, the way we think of you.
I would like to thank the following videos for their contribution to my project. Links to the full videos can be found in the description. Video clips in order of appearance. For a Deaf Son. Do You Understand Me? Young sisters born deaf describe cochlear implant activation, hearing for the first time. Hearing parents' perspectives on learning sign language Part 1. Two deaf women show us bilingualism at its finest, and my deaf child in making decisions. Also thanks to My Baby Has a Hearing Loss, a starting guide for parents, for the information on the methods of communication provided in this video. Thank you, Nicole.